Hi, Fernando.
Hey Parsa, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How you doing, man?
Good man, and you? Good to see you.
Fine, thanks. Good to see you again. Well, after a while, we can have live what concrete 3D printers with you.
I know it
It
took
was
a while.
about it was about a month we planned to have live, but due to coronavirus, we couldn't do that. Yeah,
I know, yeah, we had to postpone it, but finally.
yeah, good. So, uh, our lives about concrete 3D printers with Hyperion Robotics, and we're going to talk about uh, concrete 3D printing. So, do you want to describe yourself to our followers to know you better?
Yeah, of course. My background is in business and technology. I've been involved in the concrete 3D printing sector and construction technologies already for the past almost 4 years. And our company Hyperion is based in Finland. We started a couple of years ago in 2018. We were looking for a solution to make construction processes more efficient and more sustainable. And then that's where we came up with 3D printing, and we brought this technology to optimize, for example, the production of concrete structures. So we have a team of experts with many years of experience in 3D printing, but also in the construction sector, from a couple of architects, civil engineers, as you, uh, and uh, and also we have experience in large-scale industrial projects.
Yeah, since your background were in business, where did the
Uh-huh.
idea just originally come from to start investing your time and your money in the field of civil engineering, concrete technology?
That's a great question. And what happened is that I was looking into a few industries, and I found construction as a very interesting and important one, where I realized that uh, there was a big room for innovation. There was, and there
Cool.
was, and there was also very little innovation that had happened in the past decades, I would say, if not more. So since looking in a way where I could solve a problem for an industry or for a group of companies, um, I thought that construction was very interesting to jump into. So
Yeah.
I started doing some research, again with no background on my own, even though my partner is an architect with many years of experience. Initially, it was just an idea, it was a concept that we were just trying to validate. And we realized that it made a lot of sense, to try to change that mindset and completely change the processes and make them more efficient. So, um, yeah, maybe I don't have a construction background, but now I am completely into it. So, yeah, that's where we're at now.
It was such a cool decision. Yeah, you made it.
Yeah, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, jump into the field of civil engineering, construction, and concrete technology. Well, could you please describe how 3D printers work and tell me about the admixture of concrete and other things you want to mention?
Yeah. So 3D printing works. It's actually very simple. First, you generate the design that can be done in any kind of 3D software. Then this
Yeah,
design is uploaded to our software, the software of our systems, and then we have these robots that we have developed that can produce the concrete element.
yeah,
And the way it works in terms of the system is that you just need one assistant or one person to drop the dry concrete bag, and then you have the robot to do all the magic. So it just creates the different element. Let's say, for example, the walls of a house. So instead of using a formwork, or using a mold and then manually placing the rebar, then you just have the robot to produce this element for you.
All with the robots.
All with the robots.
Yeah. What structure can be 3D printed? Reinforced concrete. Can we print reinforced concrete with the 3D printers?
Yeah. Well, I cannot talk much about this, but we have developed a very unique mechanism for reinforced, automated reinforcement. So our structures are not just concrete, but they're reinforced concrete. And the thing is that in terms of what can be printed, the possibilities are almost endless, and let me give you some examples of some structures that have been built so far. Of course, houses. So in terms of housing, you have the construction of walls and the inner and outer walls. And then at this point, from the existing projects, the rest of the house is being done traditionally. So the MEP, the HVAC, that's done in the traditional way. What else? Then you have the prefabricated elements. For example, these manholes or concrete boxes that are used in projects. So these are relatively simple elements that can be printed, and you can just deploy them and install them. Again, it's reinforced concrete. So many people ask, what about the reinforcement, right? So again, these elements are reinforced, so nothing happens. And one really cool example is 3D printed bridges. So there's already a few projects around the world where they have 3D printed bridges. For example, in China and in the Netherlands, where they 3D printed the bridge in a factory, and then it was a smaller bridge, like a pedestrian and for bicycles, and then it was installed on the site. So those are some examples of the things that can be printed. If you have any specific question of something, I can tell you if it can be done as well.
Thanks. Well, I can imagine the future of this industry. How could this be great and amazing? Yeah. So, what software do you use for your designing for that printers?
So for the design of the different elements, we can really use any kind of 3D software. And then what happens is that we take the 3D file and we export it to our software. So we have our own software for the 3D printing process, and then it's converted into the code of the robot, and that's how it's 3D printable. So something that many engineers and construction companies ask is if they can use their BIM models to 3D print, and the answer is yes. We can extract or export the file from the BIM software, then we put it in our software, and then it becomes a 3D printable file. Yeah,
that's great. Well, you mentioned most recent structure printed by 3D printers or with the reinforced inside. Yeah, that was my next question. There was most of recent structure printed by 3D printers are without reinforcements or with the reinforcements. And tell me about the strengths of this kind of structure you print with the 3D printers.
Yeah, well, in the beginning, when we first started, we did some architectural pieces, more like artistic things that it was more for testing to create these very unique patterns. So in this case, we really don't need reinforcement. We use, for example, these plastic fibers, so then our structures are not cracking. But we don't need any kind of rebar for that. But if even for like one-story walls, in some cases we don't need much reinforcement. For example, in some projects out there, they have done some manual installation of bars to connect both sides of the walls. But it really depends. If we're talking about a structural element, for example, a beam, then we definitely need reinforcement.
Yeah,
And there's different
column.
ways. A column
Yeah,
as well, exactly. Where
slab.
if it a slab as well, yeah.
Yeah. Well, since I know the one of the most important phase in the concrete pouring is the concrete curing. Uh, how you just do that with your 3D printed concrete?
Yeah. So the material we use is a very high performance concrete. So one of the great things is that once we print it, in just a few hours, we can already grab the element and move it. So it's very fast setting concrete, fast curing. And also, if you think about it, it has to be like that because we print layer by layer.
Yeah,
So once one layer, once we want to put one layer on top of the other, the first one has to be already a bit hardened, right? That's how it is in terms of curing. It's pretty fast. To give you an example, in 12, 13 hours after printing one element, it's already pretty strong, and we can already move it.
cool. Uh, do you want to tell us about the admixture of the concrete you use, or is it just a secret?
Uh, well, yeah, that's a question I hear often, uh, and well, what I can tell you about the admixtures, I mean about the mix, is that we use cement, and like our base mix is cement based. We also use
Which
some
type of cement you use?
Portland cement,
Portland.
um, Portland cement, and then it also has some basic aggregates like sand, and then some admixtures. But
Hmm.
the secret is in the formula, right? And how many things
Yeah,
of each component. So that I cannot tell you right now. Uh, but but yeah, what people should know is that in the end it is concrete. You know, it is still cement based. We're actually working on some special mixes that use industrial waste. For example, instead of using aggregates or to be able to reduce the cement, we can use some waste from coal plants, and then we follow this circular economy model. So that's something we're also working on.
cool. I can't wait to see you in the lab and have live together again
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
lab and with the 3D printers.
definitely.
That will be great.
Yeah.
Well, mm, well, the next question. Uh, in your opinion, how would 3D printing transform civil engineering?
Um, that's a great question. And uh, let me give you an example. Right now, because of the coronavirus, there's a lot of projects around the world that have been stopped. They're not going anywhere. People cannot
Yeah,
go to work. They're at home, and the few people that are going there, they're scared of getting um, getting the virus or getting sick. So one of the great benefits of 3D printing is that uh, there's much less exposure of people. So what happens is that we can use our technology and use only a few people to execute the projects, and then we completely make the process safer. And what people have to do, if you think about it, is just monitor. They have to check if things are going right, if
yeah,
the flow of the material is correct, and
that's the
and
point.
exactly. So then the robots don't get sick, you know, which is great. They don't get sleepy or anything. So then that human error or human risk is completely eliminated. And something that we like to say is that instead of making offering these construction workers like kind of dangerous jobs, we're creating these more meaningful jobs.
Yeah,
And in terms of civil engineering specifically, I think that this is also a great tool for engineers because there's something called topology optimization, where you can optimize the designs to use the least amount of material possible. So that is something that, for example, with our structural engineer we work with to create like very optimized designs. Let's think of the
yeah,
bridge, right? So instead of a typical bridge using 100 tons of material, we could use 50 tons of material and achieve the same properties. So that's like a big change
yeah, of
on the
course.
engineering side.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
Saving money.
exactly.
Yeah,
Save money, save time, save materials.
yeah.
So
And risk mitigation, of course.
exactly, exactly. So definitely, um, since we're using these industrial robots from the company KUKA, who is our partner, we are
Yeah,
able to basically bring advanced manufacturing to construction. So we don't need any formwork. Just think about it. All the crazy stuff
yeah.
that you need to. Sometimes the formwork is as
Just
amazing or
imagine the
even much.
future.
Exactly. So
Yeah,
I was walking. My partner was walking next to a like a bridge construction site the other day, and the formwork looked really nice. It was a wooden formwork. So just thinking how sad it is to throw away all that stuff after. So with 3D
yeah.
printing, we don't need any formwork. We You don't need that anymore.
That's all advantages.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think there's any disadvantages that you can mention?
I think I don't know if the word is disadvantage, but there's definitely some challenges. And the main challenge is that construction industry is a very conservative industry, as you know. So even though there's some really large and really cool projects out there, it takes time to convince and to really show the construction players, or the players in the AEC industry that bringing automation to the site is something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
So
It's
that's
just like all technologies.
exactly,
Yeah, it's get the
exactly.
time to be acceptable for the people.
Exactly. So that's
Yeah.
definitely the main challenge that we face. But disadvantages, um, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, everything is amazing and great about this new technology and industry. Well, uh, you answered that question among the past question. How can it help situation like the current coronavirus? And you said
Oh yeah,
without having formworks, yeah,
yeah.
that will be
So
helpful for us.
basically, less exposure of people.
Yeah,
And what we see in the future is that um, people are going to be able to use the robots and control them from their homes, so if there's a problem and you need to stay at home, like in this coronavirus case, then the robots can be on the site and you can be at home operating them.
it will be
So
great opportunity for the consultant companies to
exactly,
just operate everything from their office.
exactly, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't get your hands dirty.
Well, let's be more specific about your company, Hyperion. Um, where did the name come from? I think it is the Greek legend Hyperion. Am I right?
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Well, Hyperion is a Greek titan, so it's like some kind of god. It's the
yeah.
god of light, and yeah, we believe that the name came also because we thought that we needed a titan, like a big god to break into the construction industry, and really
Cool.
make that change. Um, and there's one different fact that there's one game where Hyperion was a robot manufacturer as well. so so there's like a bunch of things where it came from.
Yeah, cool. Uh, what product and services do you provide?
So we're based in Finland, and we're able to provide custom-made concrete elements, mainly in Europe. But also we work with companies around the world where we provide them with robots. So for example, if you're based in the US and you want to rent our system for 6 months or for a year, or for a large-scale project, we can rent it to you.
Hmm.
So depending on the scale of the project, we may get involved, but mainly we rent them out to our clients. So that's what we do.
Could you please tell me more specifically what elements do you 3D printed nowadays to just sell them to the Europe countries?
Yeah, for example, one of them are elements for infrastructure. So these like manholes and these kind of smaller elements that have to be custom made. So what we can do is if there's an order of one client where all of these elements have to be in the same site, we can take a robot there and then we can print them over there. So they basically remove the logistics costs.
Cool. And how can people and companies find you and contact you?
So they can visit us at our website, hyperionrobotics.com, and also our social media channels. So we're very active, not as you guys, uh, but they can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and also they can email us to contact@hyperionrobotics.com. So if
Cool.
anybody has any questions or just they want to be curious or they want to develop a project with 3D printing, they should reach out.
Or they want to buy something from you?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. And would you like to send a message to the engineering community and to be uh, more specific, civil engineers?
Definitely. Um,
Cool.
yeah, well, for all civil engineers, I just want to tell them to be, very open-minded, to look at new technologies because in the past couple of years, there's like a very cool new technologies in construction, and in the end, you guys are the one planning and developing the projects. So we need your help to be able to bring these technologies and all the benefits that they have.
Yeah.
So feel free to reach out to us. Again, be open-minded and think about all the potential that 3D printing and automation in general has in the industry.
Yeah, and be a futuristic.
Exactly.
Yeah, and think about future because you're going to live in future.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Always think about, 10, 20 years ahead.
Yeah. Anything else do you want to add?
No,
I
I
think
think
that
that's
was
it.
my last question.
Yeah, I think that's it. And it would be great if we can have another one and we can do like a live printing. I think the
Our
people will
pleasure.
like it.
Yeah, that will be great. I think uh, we are going to be the first pages
Yeah,
showing the 3D printing of concrete in the Instagram. Yeah,
definitely. Let's do it.
that will be great. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Fernando, for having you
Thank you,
here,
Parsa.
and you're welcome. And well, that's the end of our